brief introduction. All right. Hi, everyone. How are you? I hope you're having a great day. So, with the today's session, we have a very interesting topic to take care of the acoustics, design acoustics before you build, and avoiding costly mistakes with proactive acoustic planning. Just to give, starter, in the UAE market, especially in the UAE market, as well as the upcoming Saudi market, there is a trend in the real estate of high net worth people taking the properties in UAE or extra luxury, ultra luxury constructions taking place. And the basic demand for all this is to have a very peaceful environment, that is to have a good acoustics in the construction. And if you don't take care of this acoustics at the design phase, then what comes at the time of handover, at the time when the consultant is working, is taking, the client is taking over the facility, it will be a disaster. So we are trying to look into, into different areas, how an acoustic consultant assists, quite early in the design phases to mitigate and to take care of many other issues that will happen. All right. So why early acoustic design is critical? So number one requirement is privacy. So if you don't have right acoustics done in a space, you will have issue of the privacy. You have the noise going outside. You may have an office space where you have a manager's office, and we have got so many complaints where a manager, director's office is there, CFO office is there, and they have a concern whatever they are discussing, they don't want anyone else to hear those discussions outside. At the same time, we have government offices where they have got conference rooms and all, and the requirement is again the same, the privacy. The concern is the privacy. Okay. The second that happens is the comfort. So if you have comfort and peaceful living go hand in hand. So if I have a bedroom where there's a noisy FCU machine running next to me, okay, then there's no way I'm going to have a very quiet sleep in that bedroom. Okay, that is a space of nuisance for me. The same time, if I have a living room where I have got noise coming from the outdoor, from the traffic noise coming in, then that living room is not a living space for me anymore. Okay. Then we have functional rooms treatment rooms, counseling rooms in the hospitals. Okay. We also have silent rooms, special yoga rooms are there. Now these rooms are they're built for a purpose. Recording room is there, or else editing room is there. These builds are rooms are built for a purpose, for a functionality to fulfill. If the acoustics are not taken care of, then it doesn't fulfill the purpose. It's actually ruining the whole investment altogether. And we will look into some of the examples of this. Then we have controlled noise transfer. You have an area which makes noise, like a gym, which is having a workout space where there is a lot of music. You have dumbbells being thrown down, and if the gym is just on a middle floor or top of an apartment, or else the gym is located somewhere, the noise is going to transfer to the rest of the apartments and all, and then there is no way people under the gym are going to be quiet. They're going to make complaints back again and again, again and again, to an extent that the gym has to be stopped. Now, certain spaces requires a full attention of a specialist to understand what is the scenario to give the right solutions in. At the same time, we have luxury living. Okay, if you have got penthouses in high-rise buildings which is having infinity pool or other setups and all, those units are being sold at 40 million, 50 million dirhams in the market, and there is no way the client is going to will be able to tolerate a noise issue. If you have a noise issue with that client, it's going to be a disaster for the company, for the developer, because it's going to be a reputation problem then onwards. Okay, so that's the reason the early acoustic design is critical to take care of your privacy, to take care of your comfort, for having a peaceful living, for the functional rooms to work properly, for the noise transfer from noise making machineries and rooms. Now this is not luxury per se today. Maybe yesterday, a few years back, demanding these two things was luxury. But this has become right now as essential part of life. So any apartment, any buyer who is there, he demands that acoustic should be the basic necessity that needs to be fulfilled over there. Now, to continue, we have what is the role of an acoustic consultant? What does the acoustic consultant does in the role of building design, constructions? Like, what is he providing as a service? So number one he does is like, noise survey. So first thing he studies is like, the building where it's being built, the villa where it's being set up, the school where it's being set up. Okay, what is the environment noise in that arena? What is the traffic noise? If you don't have this one single reading proper, your whole facade may go wrong. The facade design that you're doing on the building, the selection of the glazing, the panels, what you're selecting, everything would go wrong if you don't have one essential data, which is the environment ambient noise. Then we have the involvement of the acoustic design engineer in the concept design, the detailed design stages, where he sets up the criteria which room is supposed to have how much noise level from the MEP equipment, how much noise, like, what should be the rating for the walls, what should be the rating for the doors, what should be the rating for the windows, for the glazing, what should be like, the floor arrangement, okay, how you are supposed to take care of the critical elements, like, with the flanking paths are being built. What the flanking path is like, where the noise transfer may happen easily from one space to the other space, where the facade comes and joins the, like, to the walls, where the mullions are happening. Okay, where your roof and the wall gets made up with a slab. Okay, those are weak points where the noise transfer will happen quickly. How do you take care of those? This is what acoustic consultant gives the input. He is not adding new material, okay, altogether. He is suggesting you how you're going to set up the existing material where you can fill in the gaps and make it much, much better in the experience for the customer. Then comes the stage of like, tender and construction. The acoustic engineer builds up your specifications of what material is supposed to be used, what type of material is supposed to be put into application, how the installation is supposed to be done, what is acceptable in the installations. And in the mock-up, the acoustic consultant and engineer comes and tests the whole setup for one area, for a mock-up room, and confirms like, whatever the design was done, the material selection was undertaken, the workmanship has been done, is performing in the best scenario. Okay, so that's the role what an acoustic engineer plays in a complete construction cycle. Okay, now let's like, step by step what happens in each area. So the facade design, a facade design is like, building envelope that is covering a building from all the four sides. Okay, so that will consider whether it's a concrete block works, whether it is facade, like, the glazing that we are having. The building envelope converts, takes care of all those areas. Now, why the building envelope is important? Because you have an environment noise that will transfer from the road, from the nearby buildings inside your bedroom through the building envelope. Now, this intrusion has got limitation in the UAE. And now, Abu Dhabi and Dubai has especially like, listed because of the regular complaints. They have even put a hotline that if you have an issue with the noise in the construction of your building, if you have an issue with the noise from the construction from a nearby space, if you have an issue of a noise from anywhere else, then they have made a hotline where you can call up and you can make a complaint, and then the developer will be called in, the facilities management should be called in by the Dubai authorities, and then they have to give like, what resolution mitigation they are going to undertake. Now, what the regulation says is, in a bedroom, you are supposed to have 30 to 35 decibel sound level. Okay, but if you don't do this facade design properly, you will never achieve this 30 35 decibels. Some examples I will show you. Right. This we have two readings. One reading is from Creek Harbor. The other reading is from Palm Jumeirah. Both readings are from the master bedroom. One reading shows 49 decibels. The other reading shows 44 decibels. Think about it like, the regulation is 35 decibel sound level. What you're achieving over here is 49 decibels and 45 decibels. The one from the Palm Jumeirah is actually a five-star hotel, okay, which is on Palm Jumeirah main road. And they have this issue whenever there is a traffic. Okay, a supercar goes, this noise level can go from 44, it can pick up to like 50, 55 decibels also. Okay, now what's the main issue over there? The main issue was there was no noise survey conducted before the construction, before the design being happened. Now, when you don't have the realistic data, what you do is you consider the Dubai municipality regulates the traffic noise is supposed to be 40 to 50 decibels. But is that actual? That 40 to 50 decibel is a regulation, but that will not be followed in actual scenario. Because on Palm Jumeirah, you have a very luxury living. You have got supercars for going from there. Okay. When we visited and inspected the site, the scenario was even the garbage truck that comes early in the morning, you can hear the movement of the garbage truck, like, in the five-star hotel, because the facade was not designed properly. Why was the facade not designed properly? Because the data that was taken to design the facade was all estimated. There was no noise survey that was conducted in this scenario. Okay. The same was another, like, in the creek water, there was a ultra luxury residence. Okay. Having one wonderful view of, like, Burj Khalifa from there. Everything fantastic. But the tenant or the owner, they cannot live in that space. They say, like, in night, it's 49 decibel sound level. It's like a machine working next to our bed. And there is no peace in that arena. Now, what's the cost for the developer, for the facility management guy? Oh, first of all, they have got a reputation issue. There are complaints all over Reddit. There are complaints on Twitter. There are complaints on the Google, like, reviews. Then you have to invest to rectify this. And this rectification is not easy, because literally cannot change the facade of the whole building. You need to add some additional layers on each and every panel. That's going to cost you millions. Like, for example, if you have got about 200 uh, facade panels to be done for few floors, then again that's a big investment that has to be done. And that investment, this is the material investment. You have to take the approvals of the cranes, installation costs, each and everything. Then that makes the life, like, crazy for the developer. So that's one area where the all of this could have been sorted out very easily. But by just having a noise survey and a glazing facade design to be undertaken by an acoustic consultant. Okay. Uh, Now, what else the acoustic consultant does? He places the acoustic criteria and the wall ratings. He sets up what is the NC level, what is the NR level. There was a query that was posted over here. What is an NC level? NC level are the noise curves, which is used as a standard, like, which is developed in US and used as a standard to measure the sound. Okay. So if you have NC30, it is equivalent to almost 35 decibels. The UK has got a different standard, which is called NR levels. Okay, if you have NR30, it is equivalent to 38 decibels. Okay, but what does this specify is from the frequency of 62.5 hertz to 8,000 hertz, it has got specific values that needs to be complied to have the NC30, NC25 to be complied with. Okay, so what an acoustic consultant says is, like, you have got multiple rooms in a villa. For example, right now we are doing one project, like, in Palm Jebel Ali. So they have got about 14 rooms in that villa. One is living space, the other is a dining space. You have got a gym, you have got, like, multiple bedrooms, twin rooms, maid rooms. But all of the rooms doesn't have needs to have, like, NC level to be the same. What they need to have is different NC level based upon the usage of the facility. So bedroom will have NC30, bedroom will have NC35, the garage will have NC50. So similarly, the acoustic consultant specifies the NC level, the DBA level, what is supposed to be maintained in each and every room. Okay. And based upon this NC level and the noise in the room, he will also specify what should be your partition wall rating, what should be the door rating, how much should be a door noise cancellation should be there, what door specifications you need to have. What do you mean by door specification is what type of acoustic seals, what type of acoustic material you're supposed to have in the door to meet the requirements over here. Okay. So we have one case. Okay. This was a podcast room. Okay. In Dubai Marina. The issue is they have built a podcast room, they have built an editor's room. Okay. And they have got a director's space. Now, all of the three spaces are adjacent to each other. The core problem in this whole setup is there is wrong acoustic criteria. The NC level in the editor space is around NC35. That's like, if I would just open the AC and take the measurement, that would be around 40 decibels of sound level. Yes, the person can sit in 40 decibels in an open office and work, but that's not acceptable in an editor space because that noise is going to make a mess of whole recording. You are not able to have the right quality of the noise of your noise, like, what you're hearing, and your editing is going to go wrong. Then you have a wrong rating for the door. So if you see a director door, very next to a podcast room is a glass door, which cannot be a glass door by itself, first of all. Okay. Then you have the other door, which is like, performance at NC30. Okay, STC30, which is 30 decibels noise cancellation. Then you have like, the wall, which is a dry wall. Okay, a podcast room and an editor's room, which is separated by a dry wall, is a disaster by itself. Because is- there is no acoustic consultant. Okay, so they have just estimated some values from Google and they have built up everything. Now, what is the cost of rectifying this? The cost of rectifying this is for a month or two, this whole facility was stopped from working. So there's a commercial activity loss. Okay, there's a business loss. All right. Then whatever work you have been doing is always problematic work for you. The quality of the work was very low. Okay. Then you have to break up existing facility completely. Okay, and then build up a new thing. So all of this could be very simply avoided when you have a design being built up. Have your acoustic consultant work into this scenario to give you the right ratings, right NC criteria, right wall ratings. You do the work at once, and you don't have any redos to be done in this job. Okay, we have a similar scenario in Al Fursan, it's a Abu Dhabi gym, fantastic gym. Okay, all right, but when you have an acoustic design being done, but if your workmanship and the selection of the material goes wrong, then the whole gym becomes like a new noise arena rather than becoming a space of sports and activity. Okay, the vibe is altogether different. So if you see the photos, we have on the right hand side a cycling space. Okay, then we have a multi-purpose hall in the center. The noise transfer from the cycling space to the multi-purpose hall is tremendous. So there cannot be any activity being conducted in this multi-purpose hall. Then the last photo on the right hand side is the yoga hall. Okay, yoga hall per se is supposed to be a very quiet, very silent space. Okay, where there is no supposed to be no noise. Even if you're making any noise, it's supposed to get the reverberation is supposed to absorb that noise completely. The room is supposed to absorb that noise completely. There we find the noise level to be around 1.5 to 2 seconds. Okay, the noise remaining in this space. Now, what is the solution for this? You may have to replace the whole of the ceiling. You may have to do a lot of acoustics on the walls. Okay, and because now the facility is about to be handed over for the ID, interior designer, for the interior contractor, for the main contractor, this has become a big hurdle for them to hand over this whole project. Okay, why? You did a design, maybe, okay, but the selection of the material was never reviewed by any acoustic consultant, by a specialist to confirm that they are meeting the criteria, they're meeting the requirements, and everything is going to go smooth on this one. Okay. Now, why we did the testing in this facility? The client representative, okay, they came in, they checked the spaces, and they said, there seems to be some noise issue in this whole space, okay, and they started inspecting each and other. Then they pointed us to do the testing to say, what exactly is the noise issues over there, that scenario. So the clients have become more sensitive, they have become more aware, on these issues nowadays. All right. So next part of an acoustic consultant is a detailed acoustic study. Now, what's a detailed acoustic study? You do a complete MEP calculations for the equipment in the building, whether they are package units, whether they are chillers, generator rooms, critical noise rooms, noise sensitive rooms are the specific ones. FCU calculations have to be undertaken, individual room study, room reverberation calculations to be taken. This is a detailed study for individual spaces for each equipment. An acoustic consultant does the review, does the study to confirm that you are meeting all the noise criteria that was being set up earlier. You are meeting all the STC ratings. You will have the right, performance of all of this equipment, not creating any nuisance for the people who will be staying over there or working over there. Okay. So now this is a very, very essential part for the detailed acoustic study. Nowadays, there has been a lot of awareness on this subject, and MEP contractors has been it is made obligatory for them now, to undertake all these calculations before any work starts on these units. So for all your package units, with the AHUs, FAHUs, you have to do the calculation so that you don't have an issue after the installation. Because believe me, after installation, after the ducting is done, there is hardly a way for you to solve this issue. Okay? Because you're locked in so many ways. You cannot move the equipment. You have done all the piping. You cannot raise the equipment. Okay, the cost of modifications are tremendously high. Already the contractor has spent everything, whatever the budget was allotted to them. There is no new budget that is going to be allotted for this all works. Okay, now this becomes as bottleneck. Okay, the client will not take up this space if the noise from this equipment is making a nuisance in this into his building. Neither the contractor will be allowed to will have any space to spend more. Okay, once if he has not taken the due diligence calculations for all of this. All right, so we were dealing with one VVIP villa. Now this was the VVIP villa is you are not allowed to enter the villa unless you hand over your phones, everything at the gate, and then you are allowed to enter the villa. Now that's the level of security the villa is having. Okay, the scenario over there is the construction has happened. Okay, but in the master bedroom, the noise level is 44.5 decibels. You, well, the client has straight away said, till this issue is not resolved, there is no handover. And if you delay in, handover, there is a penalty that will be given to you. Okay. Now, the location of the AHU is locked. You cannot do anything. And the ducting is so tight, so narrowed down that you don't have enough space to come to any, treatment that we can be undertaken. Now, what happens at the end? So you have to get some very special materials for the acoustics, for the sound reductions to be done. Okay. You need to break all the ducting works, redo the ducting works, and then comes your works will be handed over to the client. Okay. Similarly, we had one more villa, this was another villa, where you see the works is completed, the furniture has come in, the curtains are done, the interior designer has finished everything what they have to do. The client actually has brought in his material to stay over there, and he faces a problem. Living room, bedrooms, lobbies, the noise of the FCU is very high. So much high that he is not ready to accept this any further. He has hold all the payments for the consultants. He has hold all the payments, last payments for the contractor. Okay, nothing is moving for them. And now, in order to rectify this, okay, literally you have to break the whole ceiling. Now that's a tremendous cost for the contractor. Why? He has not done the detailed design calculations for the FCU, for the MEP equipment that is being installed over there. How much noise is coming from the supply duct? How much noise is coming from the return duct? The grills, bar grills, or whatever he is using on that one, the sizing that has been done. Is it sufficient to meet the requirements or not? Is it the regenerated noise, the position, the location of these elements? How much noise is going to be generated from those? No study is calculated. Some rules are followed, estimates are done, okay? And at the end of the day, you have noise levels about 48 decibels, about 45 decibels in the bedroom, okay? And 48, 45 decibels is very, very high noise. And it's not easy for a person to stay in that room for a very long time, okay? We recently had one more inquiry from Jumeirah. 3 towers are built in an L shape. Okay. We have got chillers on the top of the roof. Okay. The chillers are having vibration isolators. Everything looks fantastic over there. The apartments below these chillers have a noise complaint. How much is the noise? About 50 decibels, 47 decibels when you have got windows closed in the master bedrooms. If you open the windows for any airflow to happen, the noise goes to about 51, 53, 54 decibels. Okay. In all the apartments in the building has got the same complaint. About 2 to 3 floors, the same issue is there. But what is the main concern over there? There is no detailed acoustic calculation for the chiller setup has been done. Because we have a chiller, the noise is going to come from the fans, the noise is going to come from the compressors, the noise is coming horizontally, it is going vertically. So the noise transfer in all directions has to be done. Not only does the slab, but even you have to see what is the noise transfer that is happening from the 90 degree, from the horizontal air transfer that is happening. Now, because of this, you have the facility managements are getting continuous complaints. Not one, not two, almost every tenant in that building, every owner in that building is having a complaint for the noise. Okay. Now that becomes a legal issue if that is not addressed as soon as possible. Because you make a complaint in Dubai municipality or DDA authorities, they set up a, first they give a call to the facility management to take care of this one. If the complaint persists, then they assign someone from them to regulate this whole scenario in that tower. Okay, so now for them to rectify this is you have a very high rectification cost because you have to work on all the windows. You have to take care of the noise on the boundaries of the chiller yards completely. Then you will be able to reduce this noise coming to the apartments. The cost is just of the design going to be high. The cost for the material installation, workmanship, because you don't have a space, you have got a restricted space. You need to have scaffoldings. You may have need to have special equipment for the installation to happen. Then that is going to all add the cost for the facility management, or it will go back to the consultant because of the bad design. We recently found one open office space in the Silicon Oasis. Huge hall, tremendously big hall built up for an open office. Okay, if you see the equipment is placed outside this glass office, and then you have got round ducts going to the office, to other spaces, and all that. The noise level in the space is about 60 decibels. Now, what's the noise level in open office? Supposed to be 35 decibels. What's supposed to be the reverberation time? That is around supposed to be zero 0.4 to 0.6 second. And the space is having a reverberation time of almost 1 to 2 seconds. Now that's that creates uh, now that is having about 90 units of FCUs in that whole setup. To rectify the noise for those all 90 units in each and every space where the noise is coming to meet the requirement, then that's going to cost tremendously to the contractor. Now, why this whole issue has happened? Because you have not done the FCU calculation, okay, where you can see, check what is the noise level that is coming from the FCU, from the supply, from the return, from the radiated side, and then rectify those errors or go to another brand to buy a more suitable FCU, which is having a lower noise, or else to make a different kind of a setup where you, from the day when you would be very well aware how this is supposed to be managed. Okay. One simple thing that I can even show you over here is the grill that is there, in this location opening. This is so close to the unit that the direct noise of the equipment comes out immediately from the first outlet. You don't have any space left out for the insulation to work, for an attenuator to be placed. Now that all could be avoided if you have an acoustic design consultant reviewing the setup and checking how much is the noise transfer, what is the breakout noise in this whole area, and give you a proper design of implementation. I have seen Mr. Muhammad Ali raise his hand. If there is a query, you can just put it in the chat. Okay. Oh, another very common issue in construction market is the doors. You may have a acoustic rating for a door as STC 40, but STC 45, and you may buy a material the core of the door meeting 100% with the STC rating. But if you don't have proper acoustic seals uh, to close the gaps between the frame and the door, the door and the floor, the door and any other areas, the lock and all those things, then the performance of that STC 45 goes down to STC 15. Okay, then the very purpose why the door was installed has been defeated. Okay, so now this is one of the case studies. This is for one of the premium hospitals. The number of doors installed over there are about similar kind. About 350 doors have been installed over there in offices, in patient rooms, all other different setups. Now the complaint is anyone who talks outside this room, the patient are able to hear it. Any discussion that happens in a nurse station, the patients are able to hear it. Now this has become any activity that is happening, movement of equipment is taking place, or movement of people are walking by. Okay, the patient rooms have become always hearing that noise, what's happening in the corridor. So this is having no privacy actually. There's the issue of the privacy. There's the issue of the peacefulness, because a hospital treatment room is supposed to be a peaceful area for a person, and especially this is a premium hospital. You are not talking about any roadside hospital. This is a premium hospital, okay, and they have this issue. The issue is all simply because the specification that been developed has not been reviewed by the acoustic consultant. And the acoustic consultant has not reviewed the material selection or the installation or the mock-up room, where you can see the gaps are there in always almost every room that is there at the bottom between the floor and the door. Though there are no seals even in the the perimeter of the door, but the major noise transfer was from the below bottom. This is found even in the schools. This is an issue that is very common in apartments and all. Okay, where you have the gaps underneath the door. You have the same issues in gyms. You have the same issues in the hotels. Okay, you have the main door which is having a gap. There is supposed to be a drop down seal. There is no seal. There is no threshold, and the noise transfer happens smoothly from outside. So this becomes a critical issue if an acoustic consultant is not involved into this one. Now, if I want to rectify this, okay, rectifying this when the door is in the factory, when it has been manufactured, it was very, very easy. They make a slot, they insert a drop down seal, it comes to the site, it gets installed, it works properly, smoothly, no issue. Okay. But if you want to do it now, literally each and every door has to be removed. A slot and a groove needs to be created at the bottom of the door, okay, and a drop down seal needs to be inserted. Or else, if you go for an external threshold, then there is always an issue of tripping because the door is separate and the threshold is separate. So if you remove the threshold, the door is open, the threshold still remains on the ground. So then there is issue of tripping that will be there. So the workmanship that is required to rectify all this door has increased multiple folds. Okay. Else you may have to go with a very ugly looking anesthetic solution, which will be to put something from the bottom of the door as an additional material. Okay. But that will not fulfill the purpose for 100% because that will not have the rubber seals underneath to take care of the material, to undertake a proper seal. Okay. Cost of erroneous design. So number one cost that happens for many of the hotels and all is the customer complaints. Okay. You may even have to pay the compensations because if the experience of the customer is very, very bad, they may act for compensation or they may act for an upgrade in the rooms and all. There's a business loss because of the customer complaints and there's a reputation lost. This is one of such hotels in on Sheikh Zayed Road, okay, where we find they have made a shaft from the top floor to the bottom floor going this way. And in the lobby area, if you make any mover, cleaning machine to work over here, the noise is going to remain over there for almost 6 seconds because there is no sound absorption. Treatment has been undertaken. Now, the hotel got started, and after a few months, the complaints got built up, built up, built up. Then it came to the owner, okay, the developers, and now the developers are figuring out what exactly is the mess that has happened over here, and they are it has become such a big issue for them that the experience of the lobby, what they wanted to build up, has completely collapsed. Okay, now they want to treat each and everything, but the treatment cost is going to be very high because again, you need to get a lot of material over here to treat the walls, to treat the shaft of the shaft, okay, to eliminate that echo from that complete arena. All right. So another scenario. This is a resort on a world island. They have got prime generators for powering the complete resort. With these generators placed in one small where shed, they have put ventilation fans in order for the air to flow in and go out from that generator rooms. Okay. The noise level, if you see on that equipment, is about 77 decibels. Now, what does the regulation say? What does an acoustic design say? The noise level in a resort, in an open area, is supposed to be 35 to 40 decibels. That's maximum. That's allowed. Okay. If you are having more than that, then the customer experience of peaceful stay will be ruined completely. But the noise level over here is 77 decibels. Now, to add to the injury for this client, the right hand shows you the very facility from where we are taking this measurement. Okay, this is a sea facing facility. It's one of the premium space which they are supposed to lend, but no client stays in this space. The reason being, Okay, any client who books this and comes over here, the same day he starts making complaint that there is tremendous noise. We are having a very bad experience. Then they are upgraded. They are taken to a very beachfront area, which is of a very higher grade, and that is given for free because the error is from the developer. Okay, these two buildings, these two lodges, which are there, which is supposed to be a family space, a family suite, is unrentable. They cannot rent it. There is a loss of business. You have to pay the customers for the upgrades. Okay, at the same time, the experience of the customers has gone down. All because you have done a design which was never suitable for the resort. Okay, though we have we got into it to rectify that whole thing. So the main thing is don't let the sound be an afterthought. Don't let the sound to be thought over once the construction has happened. Learn how to design acoustics before you build and save money, time, and your reputation. Okay. I will just give you one case study. This is very interesting case study. We have done a very detailed uh, study on this one to give a proper solution. This is on Sheikh Zayed Road towards Jabal Ali. Okay, there's a data center over there. Just next to the data center, you can see we have shown one, two, three, four. One is an accommodation building, which is almost 25 meters away from this red highlighted building. This red highlighted building is a generator room. Okay, two is a generator room. Three is a playground area. Four is the office. Okay, and the fifth is a Sheikh Zayed Road. There are so many limitations that have been built up. First of all, the generator room, which is supposed to be a prime power for a data center, is never designed to uh, fulfill the requirement of acoustics for the accommodation building and uh, for the office. Now, what is the resultant of this? So many complaints came on that generator room that they are not able to use it any further, not even for maintenance. Even if they started for maintenance, they are supposed to send a team to the accommodation, inform the people that we are starting the generators, kindly tolerate the noise for a few minutes, okay, and then the generator will be shut off. Why? How much is the noise? If you see the table down over here, it shows the dBA level at 3 meters from the generator. The noise goes almost up to 109 decibels in that area. How much? 109 decibels. Okay. We start undertaking this engineering calculation, to resolve this whole issue, to give the acoustic treatment. The biggest challenge that we faced was the size of the generator room. The generator room size was never built to undertake an acoustic treatment. That is the biggest challenge that we faced over there. Then the distance between the accommodation building that was approved and the offices, they are like 15 to 20 meters away from the generator room, which is like a direct noise transfer that's going to happen. At the same time, because the environmental noise survey was not conducted of the Sheikh Zayed Road, the environment noise in that arena itself is about 74, about 80 decibels on the peak hours because of the traffic noise. And the building envelope is not designed to even address that issue. Even without the generators working, the accommodation itself is having a problem because of the traffic noise. So you see, if an acoustic consultant doesn't get into the picture from the day one of the design, then you may have $1 million setup of generators, being set up over there, which are completely unfunctional. They cannot be used. Why they cannot be used? Because the noise that they would make the accommodation building to start making complaints. Then the authorities will come into picture. The authorities will not allow you to work any further on this one. So yeah, that is to show uh, if you take proactive action on acoustics, then the customer experience is going to be fantastic. You may not need to spend a lot in the design stage. Okay, you may spend very less, but you may achieve the best product at the end of the day. So what uh, we do as acoustic consultants, we prepare the acoustic reports, detail the standards to use based upon the type of the facility, with the hospital, buildings, residence, resorts, schools, and specify to you what should be the dBA level in this each area, what should be the reverberation time, what should be the wall and door ratings, what should be the facade design should be, the impact insulation. Then we have the acoustic calculation to take care of all the MEP equipments, vibration isolators, floating floors, We conduct the noise survey, construction noise mitigation plans we develop, and we do turnkey projects also. Right. So that was a brief. If we have any queries, we can open the floor and we can discuss and have an interaction on the subject.
Thank you, Syed. This is Abdul Wajid here. Of course, I was a bit late in joining the seminar. Uh, it was very interesting. You showed us many things which we have to consider before the design. And I think even once the project is on, the contractors, whoever are there, the consultants who are on the project, they can also make a second thought on what they are going exactly doing on the execution. I
Sure.
mean, whatever the mistakes or some items what have been overlooked during the design stage, also still can be corrected during the execution stage.
Surely, yes.
I think I'm
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
the
you're
right
very right on
statement.
this one. On one
Okay.
such scenario case study that we had was like, we were doing a tower in Abu Dhabi, which is very near to the international airport. So there is no consideration they did for the aircraft noise. When the approval came, like, the consultant found like, the consideration is not made. We did an aircraft noise survey. The facade was completely changed only because of one survey, because the
Okay.
aircraft noise in that area was very high.
Okay, so I think we are left out with a little time, and I would request the admin to share the email ID for our UAE MEP engineers WhatsApp group email ID.
Yeah.
Anybody, if he has got any questions, even after this webinar, can still send an email. Then we will in coordination with Engineer Syed, will come back to you with all your questions. So in this time, before this webinar is ending in next 10 minutes, if anybody has any questions, please let us know.
Yes, sir, we have got two questions here. The first one
Yeah.
is difference between DB words and C, how to convert to each other, which units to be followed.
Okay, so the NC curves are like, the values in dB from 62.5 hertz to 8,000 hertz. Okay, the thumb rule usually is NC30 is equals to 5 decibels more, like 35. NC20 will become 25 dB. How do you convert this? The process of converting NC to dBA value is slightly long because you have to take the curve values, make the A filter correction, and then convert it to a single value with logarithm. But if you just follow a thumb rule, like, 5 dB to the NC value is like, that's equivalent to dBA value. So NC30 becomes 35 decibels, NC20 becomes 25 decibels, NC15 becomes 20 decibels.
Okay, sir.
To all the other members here, we are also keeping the recording of this webinar in our website portal, and we will send a link to you, and maybe some of the people can access also in future for their reference, because this is a very important subject. Noise is a very important subject. I am personally, I have been into the industry for last 25 years. I have faced many such issues after the post construction, during the construction, during the design, and I'm very specific because these are the things generally they are overlooked.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the another question was there, Sidra? Yeah, in the chat we have kept the email ID for putting back the questions. And Arifullah Beg Mirza has another questions on, I think, how to calculate NC level from octaband of a fan.
Yeah, so calculating the NC level from the octave band of the fan, first we need to do a deduct calculation. We have our own software, which is the mass acoustic software. Okay, we do this calculation for the fan equipment data from the sound power level, and the duct elements we add to it. From the A terminal, the software will give you like, what is the sound that is coming inside the room, and also the NC level that you're achieving over there. So usually this activity of from the FCO sound level to the room, you require a software to do this calculation because you will have a lot of inputs to consider based on ASHRAE, the insertion loss of the ducts, the insertion loss of the A terminals, the correction for the percentage of air that is coming inside the room, the reflections inside the room based on the absorption uh, coefficient of the room. Based upon all this calculation, you get the final value of that. Okay, what is the safe dB value for FCU selection? And, it depends on the NC level that you want to achieve. However, like if to start, usually the rule that is passed on this is the dB value should not be more than 55 decibels for when the FCU selection is being done. Okay. However, any FCU that is being set up, it should have at least minimum 3 meters of ducting from the to the outlet. Now, this 3 meters of ducting is supposed to have liner insulation. The ducting needs to have a flexible connection ends, flexible duct connection ends. Okay, and it is that is essential in order to mitigate the noise coming to the room at the end. And one more essential part when it comes to the FCO is nowadays there is a lot of usage of pre-insulated ducts in the industry. The pre-insulated ducts, no doubt, they are very cost-effective, very easy to in workmanship, and as well as installations. But acoustic perspective, they are the most weakest ducts. If you don't have a liner inside, especially if you have a ducting that is passing very close to the supply duct or from the return air outlet, then you will have a breakout noise that will go inside the room from those pre-insulated ducts. So, because the ducting part was mentioned, just wanted to add on that part.
Okay, to all the group members, we also want to inform that we now have a LinkedIn page, and we are also having an Instagram page, and we will also be putting all this data over there. And anybody still has questions, they can always keep in the WhatsApp group, and we will be trying to get back to you on the same.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Engineer
Okay.
Syed. I think there is no more questions. Muhammad Ilyas, in the last one more question we can take. Engineer Syed, it's
Okay.
one.
What will be the performance of acoustic attenuator if you are having a polymer lining in the baffles? So, if you are having additional lining, polymer lining on the insulation material, then in that scenario, you may have a performance which is low frequency wise is good, but on a high frequency, the performance will degrade tremendously. Okay, so that degradation because is there because of the lack of interaction between the insulation material due to the polymer lining that is going to be set up. You usually use this in the medical and hospital industry because you don't want the fibers of the uh, like baffles to come out and to get split to be seen in the from the ducting, because usually you may have this issue because of the high airflow. Another way of mitigating this is to have a bigger size of a sound attenuator which will have a very low air velocity in the baffle in the air, open area. So that's another way of mitigating that one. But providing a polymer liner is is going to reduce the performance of the sound attenuators.
Okay, I think there is one question which is not clear from Palani Kumar Subramanian. Can I share link of WhatsApp group to join you? Uh, Kumar, we are not clear what exactly you need
So,
here.
he needs the WhatsApp.
Sorry, yeah, I need a WhatsApp link to join it.
You can send. You have the admin number. You can send the request to them. They will join you.
He may not have the admin number because this link was published by us also on LinkedIn and other places.
Okay.
So in
So
that manner, you can share the admin number on the WhatsApp chat on the chat group.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
thank you. Yeah.
Yes, I have shared my number. You can send me WhatsApp.
Okay, just one query here. One clarification I want to say. We are also limiting only the members who have the registered UAE numbers. Non-UAE registered numbers like outside UAE, we are not adding to the WhatsApp group. So we are very sorry for it, but because of the strict regulations here in UAE, we don't want to take any risk.
Yeah. They're gonna put the webinar online. So once we
Yeah.
have it, we're gonna publish this. Okay. Uh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Ajit bhai, for
Syed.
this
Thank
session. It
you.
was
Thank you
good
to all the
opportunity.
admin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. We will be having more webinars like this on different subjects as well. We will be putting as per a calendar in the next coming week. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Stay tuned for the next webinars. Bye.